So look, my biggest challenge with you is I think you go a little overboard when it comes on to supporting Trump, and I think it's inappropriate.
I know, yeah.
Honestly, like it's a little too much. Like
I'm
seriously,
so,
I know people who are MAGA people who
Yeah.
love him, but you like,
Not like
dude,
me.
you
I know.
up your game.
Yeah.
How did your infatuation with Trump get started?
I just think his hair and his physical prowess and strength is so incredible. His golf game is unbelievable.
Epic. Yeah.
And I consider golf a proxy towards basically everything in life. If you're a good golfer the way
good
Trump
standards.
is, then you're good at everything, really. I mean, that's
The best, some might say.
But by the way, do you miss him? Be honest. Do you miss him?
So there's...
And a crazy question for you,
Yeah.
just a crazy question for you. Like for me, you know how CNN ratings just came out and ratings, I don't know what the numbers was. We'll get into it here in a minute. Worse in 9 years. I don't know what the numbers were. But if you can pull up the article, worse in 9 years, right? So do you think like you sit there and you say, like for comedy, like comedians, a great comedian maybe can make fun of everybody.
Yep.
Okay. Schultz, he can do anybody. Chappelle can do anybody. Rogan, these guys can't do anybody, right? But sometimes like the market needs a good president to make fun of.
Yeah.
Right? So, there's a lot you can do with Biden, but there's a lot more you can do with Trump.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
And he's so funny in spite of himself.
Yeah.
And sometimes he'll say one thing, like he'll call, the CEO of Lockheed, Marilyn Lockheed, but that's not her name. Her last name is not the name of the company. That's funny in the moment. But
Tim Apple.
Tim Apple, right. But there's these arcs.
I said Tim Cook. You pretty much said Tim Apple.
There's this arc, like for example, where Trump weirdly gets obsessed with toilets during his 2020 campaign. I don't know if you guys remember this, but he would go to rallies and he would go, and they're turning down the flow on my toilets. You're going to have to flush toilets 10 to 15 times. And I'm thinking, what is Trump doing with a toilet where you need 10 flushes, right? It's weird, but that's just the first piece.
Love it, though.
So then,
Gotta love those toilets.
on election night, when he talks about how he really won, which he lost, by the way, he says there were massive dumps in the middle of the night, and you're like. 15 flushes, massive dumps, and then later,
good for you. That was good.
Later, you find out he was flushing documents down the toilet. So you're like, going back a year, that's
funny.
the reason the toilet. He was so concerned about toilets. He's flushing documents
himself.
Down. It's a huge story.
So how do you handle the whole? But even for yourself as a content creator, do you miss him as a like? Would you? Selfishly, forget about politically. Of course, you don't want him. You would have probably had Bernie over Biden. I would assume maybe somebody else. Who would have been your guy if you had your choice?
Yeah, I mean, I think Bernie is the closest when you look at policy to me, but I've been very critical of the way Bernie runs his campaign. Bernie talks about he's a socialist. I'm not a socialist, and I don't actually think Bernie ran on a socialist platform, but we can get to that.
Interesting.
But I've said to my audience, Trump was great for shows like mine. There's no question about it, right? Like speaking, if I was voting not for what I think is best for the country, but what's best for me financially, of course Trump was a gold mine. There's no question about it.
So who did you want? Like if you were to say, like today, you have your choice on who can be the president, who would you like?
It's the reason I'm going to answer the question, but the reason that it's a hard question to answer in that way is there's policy and there's who could win, who would be good at governing, who understands how to make compromise and sort of how politics is done. Mm-hmm. So I think there's a ton of really interesting people that do well in all of these areas, and I'll give you a few names. And this is now for my audience because if what I'm about to say, they'll say you're just the insult in my space is you're a lib, meaning I'm not progressive, I'm not left enough. Right? Okay. I think folks like it's crazy out there.
Lib.
Yeah. I think the people that are striking the right balance right now between policy and rhetoric and ability to actually be good politicians are people like, and this is going to be crazy, okay, Gavin Newsom, Pete Buttigieg, Stacey Abrams, Katie Porter in California. I think these are really interesting folks who I don't necessarily agree with them on all policy, but I think they bring a few things that are important. They're younger. Right now, I think there's a problem where it's sort of like old guy after old guy after old guy on both sides. We're seeing this to a degree, so I like that. I think they bring some progressive policies that are interesting without really being brandable as being socialists. And I think that that's all really important right now for the left.
So what do you like about, so let's stay with who we currently have right now. So today, Biden.
Yeah.
What's he doing good? What do you think he's not doing good?
Okay, so if I were to say here are the things that Biden got done that are accomplishments that are important and things that are worth doing. At a time where I think it was necessary, he did that third COVID stimulus. Remember, Trump did two of them and Biden did a third one. I think at the time it made sense, and he didn't include as much of this, or really any, if I recall, the PPP slush fund, which was so fraudulently used, and now the IRS is backed up on audits in part because they're doing PPP fraud investigation. So I like that he didn't include that. I didn't think that was necessary. Inflation Reduction Act does a lot of interesting things, and whether or not it, quote, reduces inflation is coming down now several months in a row. I love the renewable energy stuff that's in there. I drive an electric car. I've got the solar panels. I've got, my gas stove I'm even going to get rid of. I'm ready to get rid of the gas
Are you being
stove.
sarcastic
I'm being
or
dead
serious?
serious. No, yeah, I had
You're fully committed.
It's not a commitment. It's the induction is unbelievable. Once you actually learn to use it, it's fantastic. I was repeating, the gas stove, you can modulate down to it's beautiful. I've now cooked with induction. It's fantastic. So I think it's fantastic. I think encouraging that, we're not banning gas stoves, of course, I'm exaggerating. I think that's really great. I think getting out of Afghanistan, I think, was the absolute right decision. Many criticisms of the chaos that unfolded. When Trump was asked, how would you have done it differently? He didn't actually have any answer. It was Trump's plan to get out that Biden did a few months later because Trump never got to it for whatever reason. I think that was the right decision. It was going nowhere, 20 years there, et cetera. On student loan forgiveness, I don't know what's going to happen eventually. I'm not a forgive all student loans guy. Some in my audience are like, David, all loans should be forgiven. It's like, no, I don't think so. I don't think that makes sense. But we've had programs like if you're a doctor and you work in an underserved community long enough, you qualify to get those loans forgiven. I think certain programs like that make a lot of sense. So I think that's a good thing.
Okay, so if you enjoyed this clip, you want to see another one, click here to watch another clip. And if you want to take advantage of the latest Gold Signature Series products that just came out, we have a bunch of new merch that's out. This is a color-changing mug when you drink coffee. That lion turns into a real lion. And then we have hoodies with Valuetainment Gold on it, the Gold Signature Series hat, shirts. I'm an entrepreneur. Anyways, we have a lot of items. They're selling out. If you want to take advantage of the Gold Signature Series, click here, place your order, sport your Valuetainment gear, and tag us with the hashtag Valuetainment.